Howdy howlers, it's Sako Toomey, also known as Cass Voigt. I write horror, and I'm a witch, and I'm a graphic designer, and sometimes I combine those three things. Today, I am pulling the witch card, and I am reading Backwoods, Witchcraft, Conjure, and Folk Magic from Appalachia. I know today is a little bit earlier than usual. I just felt like getting to it today. That is what happened. Felt like getting to it. Hey yo, Jace. Hey Spence. Hey Stephanie. So good to see you guys. So lovely to see you. Hi, Adrian. Here's to you. I'm here. I swear I am. I am here. I'm here. I watched it over and over and sent it to all my friends and family. I'm so glad you enjoy it. Going grocery shopping soon, but until then, here for this. That's awesome. The candles line. May the candles on your cake burn like cities in your wake. I sang a birthday song to Adrian yesterday because it was his birthday, and it was the Viking birthday song. Can't wait to have my head shaved. I hope that happens today. I hope it happens today. Should I get to the book? Just read, Sako. Are you going to take it all off? I thought it might be the Bojangles chicken song. No. What am I taking it all off? Oh, no, not all of it. Just the sides. Hey, Sage. How's it going, love? Also, happy belated, Adrian. Woo. I'm still gonna have the mohawk. I have performance and party and stuff to, this weekend. So I would like this to go away. It's longer than I'd like. At some juncture, I will need more coffee. But currently, I am too lazy to go and get it. Oh, you have to head out at 10:30 anywho. Okay. No problemo. We can do that. We can do that. Posture check, Sako. Just picked up an empty mug. That was quick. I'm I'm super hungry, but we have no water. Oh. So no rice to go with the curry. Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you. It's very sweet. I gotta practice my ritual today. I got the flash paper for the sigil work, but I think it got to 24 last night, so I hope the water unfreezes today. Oh, geez. Such hearts. Such hearts. Honest work. You will never be able to build relationships through books or other people alone. Your connection to the land under your feet resides in your blood. That blood runs through my veins. The blood that runs through my veins has raced through those of my ancestors as they tilled the soil and pushed the plow. The power of relationships in Appalachia is built upon honest work and good food. It's built with family and love, and it's an integral part of our culture. I'm sorry about the cleavage section. That is unsavory. It's winter in East Tennessee as I write this, and Christmas is soon on its way. The putty root is long gone, and the deer are scavenging in the field across the road. There's a vulture pair living in one of the high trees behind the field, a tree close to its end. The cold wind is blowing, and the vultures have their wings spread to get warm in the sun. This morning I found an old corn necklace that was handed down to me. Red corn kernels are worn to help with fevers and bleeding. Lord knows how long ago that corn was grown and strung, or how many necks it's hung from. The kernels are now ancient and brittle. Some have fallen off, while others have cracked down the center and seem to be hanging by their last thread. One wrong, heavy step on the floorboards would surely release them and send them flying. It was honest work that grew that corn. It was honest faith that strung the kernels together. It was love that passed it down through the family. This medicine and magic were grown in warm isolation, isolated due to the mountains and the poverty, but warm because family and love it grew under. Today it thrives on the memory of grandparents long gone, good days gone by, and proud, honest work. You'll never fill their shoes, nor have the faith they did with this work. We live in different times and practically a different world than they did. Needs have changed. After me, the necklace may never be worn again. It's quite savory to some. That's funny. Hilarious, guys. Mama's old charms for when the cows go dry no longer apply to the world today, so they will remain in her recipe box as they always have, among other things. A graveyard of charms, so to speak. Mad stones aren't used anymore to draw poison out, as Western medicine is readily available for snake bites and rabies, so mine will rest in the Chester drawers. Excuse me. Gotta know your audience. Yeah, I guess so. Folks only want the things that work can offer to help satisfy their desires. Screw the burn, nightmares, or cough. Society has conditioned us to deal with these things and keep going. These things are no longer what they used to be for our ancestors years ago, when a simple cough could lead to a slow fatal sickness or a burn could cause gangrene. While there's nothing wrong with fulfilling desires or bringing about change, it's still sad that certain works need to retire. But we still deal with the same battles of food insecurity, poverty, bad luck, unemployment, and more. Though we don't rely on the survival of crops now because we have grocery stores, and we don't resort to folk remedies because we have access to medical services, we need to realize how we do without those things like the old folks did. We can relate and romanticize that time all we want, but it still won't help bring this work into today's age. So make an effort to relate to their struggles. Learn all you can about their lives in those time periods. Many of my ancestors died from illnesses that are easily curable today, such as the common cold, fever, or infections. Learn the stories of your family and relate to them. Doing so will teach you to have humility and pride in your heritage. I cannot teach you these things, especially through a book, but I can tell you that humanity is the most important thing in this work. Nana has never said that it was she who does this work or has the power. All the power comes from God. Even when someone has the sight, it's not them or theirs. It's God alone who gives it and powers it. So be honest in this work. Kind of an oxymoron, isn't it? Work with yourself and with the spirits. Go to the fields and forests. Go treasure hunting. Go put your feet in the water and listen to the wind chimes as the minnows nibble at your toes. Till the soil, align the rows, sift the stones from the dirt, and plant the seeds. Over time, you will know the land and it will know you. It may take a while, but I can say for sure, as I've been stomping through creeks and woods my whole life, your bones will root themselves in the soil eventually. Just be honest and curious about it all. The best things are found through curiosity. Coincidentally, those are the same things that are cherished for a lifetime. Hi, Christina. Good to see you, darling. Yay! Yay, Christina. All right, I need more coffee. I do. I will be right back. Boop. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Debbie. Oh, I am officially out of cream, so I'll be switching to water after this. I'll be switching to water. I thought for a second that this said "Hail, Debbie," and also relevant. Hail, Debbie. Debbie Renault. Claiming your roots. This is all assuming that you are in the area. And that your ancestors are from the area too. So I'm going to skip ahead. Ancestor veneration. All hail, Debbie. Indeed. So chapter 4. Soup, beans, and cornbread, ancestor veneration. I want my coffee to be drinkable. It would be great if it were drinkable. I need to sit up straight. Oh my gosh. I'm glad we could make you laugh this early in the morning. All hail, Debbie. Because my ancestors are in Japan and in Pennsylvania, and like Harrisburg, and Germany. So I have to like go to these places to really touch to my ancestors. It's the thing about being an army brat, you know, like, which is really interesting that Backwoods Witchcraft like kind of, you know, denies that, which cool. Oh, that's right, it's a chat, there's no emotes. Because I'm addicted to my Discord emotes. I'm actually thinking about paying for a Nitro account just so I can use my fucking emotes. Goodness gracious. All right. So about them soup beans. Have mercy, soup, beans, and cornbread are a time-worn dish that always satisfies when you're not sure you want anything else. It's a favorite of my family and many others going back generations. It is a poor man's dish for any time, breakfast, lunch, or supper. It's served often with stewed or fried potatoes and maybe some boiled cabbage. In old Appalachia, this dish was a staple because the beans and corn lasted well into the winter and helped folks get by during hard times. A good majority of the culture in Appalachia involves food that's readily available. Ham, bacon, fried squash, pickled okra, cornbread, green beans, potatoes, deer meat, and more. Whether it's at a family reunion, a funeral, a marriage, a grave decoration, or simply on a warm summer's night when all family or neighbors would often get together and have dinner, food is at the center of Appalachia culture. Food is as important to our heritage as the stories passed down to us. Our food is the embodied struggle and poverty of our people, but it is also the love and pride we take in ourselves and our upbringing. All right, we love you, Sage. We'll see you later, okay? It is also the love and pride we take in ourselves and in our upbringing. It is comfort for our grief and a sign of hospitality and camaraderie in our communities and in the seams of our family history. Often the food itself tells a tale. Good morning, Nicole. It's good to see you. Every Thanksgiving, my papa Trivet made chicken and dumplings. Every Thanksgiving, my papa Trivet made chicken and dumplings. Every fall, my mama Margie would make her famous pumpkin pie, and my mama Hobson was always making biscuits with apple butter, no matter the season or the weather. Years later, these recipes remain in a cold tin and wooden boxes, sat lovingly by the stove. The memory of the dead in Appalachia is somewhat based around the food and drinks they loved in their lifetime. One cannot think about their loved ones without also remembering what they enjoyed. So we recreate it in their honor, sometimes in an attempt to recreate those memories, although nothing could hold a candle to the foods they made in life. On the birthdays and other anniversaries of our dead, we often prepare their favorite dishes with a prayer that they accept what we've made of the recipes they left and that they're enjoying it in heaven. Many families continue a tradition of leaving a space at the table for their dead. Food may or may not be placed on their plate depending on the family. The graveyard. Now we're getting interesting. Still a little too hot to drink. The graveyard. Food is especially important in the little-known tradition of Decoration Day, which consists of the family getting together and eating before heading to the family cemeteries to dress, clean, and decorate the graves of the familiar dead. The graves of the children are tended to first, and then those of the elders. Flowers, plates of food, toys for the children, liquor, and cigarettes are often left on the graves. In Appalachia, this isn't seen as odd or in the least bit pagan. It's common sense and manners. It doesn't matter if someone's dead or not. You never eat, drink, or smoke in front of someone without offering them some, especially if you know they like it as well. After the graves of the family are honored, we move over to the graves with worn, indiscernible inscriptions and wash them, pick up debris nearby, and lay flowers down. We always take extra flowers for the forgotten dead. We also make sure to go around and read off all the names and dates of every stone while offering a moment of prayer after each. It's not something that's taught, nor is that there's some ritualistic reason behind it. It's simply what the old folks did. Yeah, crepe flowers, crepe papier. Crepe paper flowers on graves, yeah. If ever someone comes by my future grave long after I've been forgotten, I would like for them to wonder who I was, what I went through, and maybe what now indiscernible name was there. No one wants to be forgotten, especially the mountaineer, and God forbid, especially by his own people. Although it takes time and effort to go to each gravesite, these visits to the dead are always looked forward to. I'm not gonna have a gravesite. And simple as that. Nor are my parents. My parents both want to be cremated. I want to be cremated. I think my sister wants to be cremated. Death and dying. Death and the dead have created a big impact in the folk magic and beliefs of these hills. Calling to the fact death takes our loved ones away, and the passing of those sometimes ended the survival of a family, especially if it was a breadwinner of the house. Behind the gravestones, hymns such as In the Sweet By and By, and upbeat religious ceremonies of Appalachian funerals, filled with promises of going home to that golden country, there lives a thread of superstition and fear when it comes to visits from death and the bodies of those taken. The oldest tradition of washing and burying the dead are no longer, but it wasn't long ago that the dead were tied to the cooling board and swaddled in a shroud. This practice was as recent in my family as 3 generations ago. At the moment of death, the local church bell was rung for each year the person lived, announcing their passing in the community. Everything stopped when the bell rang. People bowed their heads and prayed, while others gave a moment of silence or ran crying to the home. The number of tolls helped people figure out who had passed, and the news spread fast. By evening, the house was filled with relatives and neighbors who'd come to offer food and help the family in their mourning. Care of the body was important, but the burden was sometimes spared from the immediate family. Other close family members or neighbors would take care of the arrangements. And sometimes the whole family sat up with the dead, talking about the person into the night with laughter and tears. That's what we call a wake. Upon death, the body was washed and dressed quickly, as there was no way to preserve the body long. Women washed women, and men washed men, for the simple taboo you shouldn't see the nakedness of someone who isn't your spouse. Oftentimes, the body was dressed in flowers, if they were available, to mask any smells that may arise from the deceased. After being dressed, the body was laid on the cooling board, which would be an old ironing board or a slab of wood that was usually passed down in the family. The chest and feet were tied to the board to prevent the body from rising, and a bowl of unmixed salt and earth was placed on the chest to prevent swelling and to keep the devil away. Sometimes a simple bag of salt was tied around the neck for the same purpose. A wake, something I am not. Maybe it's a little early to be talking about death, huh? Is it too early for this? Is it like 9 o'clock is too early for talking about death, maybe? Posture checks. But I was just doing that. But I was just doing that. I was just doing that. Oh, shit. Oh, you're good with it. Okay. Upon death, nope, I read that part. Next, 2 pieces of silver money, usually quarters or half dollars, are placed on the eyes to prevent them from opening. Pennies weren't used because copper tended to turn the skin green. This is the origin of the phrase, he'd steal money from a dead man's eyes. The coins are also used for the age-old belief that you should enter heaven with your eyes closed. This shows the Lord that you're yourself unworthy to enter and you beg forgiveness for your sins. Plus, I reckon open eyes on a corpse is just plain creepy. I thought it was the toll for the river Styx. That's what I had been told. Not, obviously, I don't believe in that whole mythos, but that's what I had heard. The body was then buried within 3 days, but was never kept over Sunday. To do so meant another death would occur in the house that year. So if the person passed on Friday, the body would be buried the next day. The body was also not to be taken out of the house head first. Otherwise, their spirit would either haunt the home or beckon another family member to the grave. The body is always carried out feet first. Right. You also need for Karen for the river Styx, right? Exactly. It's a thing. Strangely, it is the opposite when the body is carried into church. It must be carried in head first to keep the spirit from haunting the house of the Lord. The windows and doors were left open to let the spirit out, and oftentimes they remained that way until after the funeral. Another custom to keep the dead from returning was to change the doorknob and deadbolt of the front door or rearrange the furniture. After church, the body was carried by a mule and wagon to the cemetery. It was never to pass over running water, and the wagon always stopped at the crossroads along the way to let the dead catch up. The dead were usually buried in hollowed-out logs that had the top piece removed until burial. These soon evolved into simple pine wood boxes that were often made free of charge by neighbors or friends. The coffin was often that is a tongue twister. The coffin was oftentimes draped with a black cloth and lined with cotton or linen. Boop. The digging of the grave was important right in and of itself, full of faith and superstition. The weather is often read while digging the grave. One old saying goes, "Blessed is the dead, it rains on too." Others say when it rains, the soul of the dead is happy. The rain helps the family through grief, and it's a sign the soul is going to heaven since the vault has opened to let the rain down. However, it was bad luck for it to rain on an empty grave. The treatment of the grave before it was occupied also held important power to foretell another death or bring misfortune. It was never left open overnight or over Sunday, and the digging never started before sunrise of the day the corpse was to be buried. Burials are often held in the evening as the sun was setting. If diggers' shovels clink together while digging, there will be another death soon. And if the filled grave sinks after a period of days, it is making way for another member of the family. Signs like these were always heeded in the hills, and they've stuck for generations. If a bad storm happens soon after the burial, it is a sign that the deceased isn't at peace. The first person to leave the cemetery after burying foretells the next death. If a man leaves first, the next death will be a man, and vice versa if it's a woman. Hi, pronoun. Wow, I don't know if it's lying to me, but it says only 2 people are watching. Rough morning, huh? Rough morning. People don't want to hear about death this morning. Direction plays an important part in a lot of our tales and tricks, especially with the dead. The dead were buried as Christ was, with their head to the west, so they could see Jesus coming from the east at Judgment Day. Also, many folks today still make sure the plot is running east to west and will do everything possible to avoid having to be buried in one that runs north to south, as that's the way witches were buried, and it's said that the path of the devil ran. That's interesting. After burying the body, young ones dress the grave with flowers from the home. The tools that were used to dig the plot are left there for 3 days in the form of a cross to help ease the spirit of the deceased and sanctify the grave. Along with the cross tools, a lantern or candle was sometimes left on the freshly stirred soil to lead 'em on to glory, as Nana said. Some folks would even take home a handful of dirt or a flower from the grave to let the dead know they won't be forgotten. A lot of care was used in tending the dead, pre- and post-mortem. Throughout the whole process, that they were loved and honored, lifted with prayer and strength of their families to the Lord. Yeah, it's just Jason pronoun, maybe. Yeah, it very well could be. If that is the case, there's a thing on communing with the dead, which is interesting to me. However, it is quite a long section, and people don't want to hear about death this early. So, oh my goodness. So yeah, my patriarch died at 5 a.m. yesterday, and I'm still going to do my obligations, but I'm going to head down to Florida right after. There's no reason to rush now. We'll see how it goes. So I probably shouldn't get my hopes up, but there is possibility that I'm in the will. I'm trying not to get my hopes up, but it would be really cool if I was in the will. That's much better. That's much better. Do, 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 do. I don't even know what I'm going to do with my day. Project Flambeau is tonight, so I guess I'm going to write. I basically have until tonight to write furiously. Yeah. Yeah, my body's funny sometimes, yeah. He was old, and a little bitter that he was the eldest and that everyone was dying around him. What is this? Why are you giving me notifications? I don't think they're even emails that I want to read. Oh, that's a shame. I charged $1 to Canva. Oh. Hello, my friends. I can pull tarot. I can pull runes. Woke up with a headache. Maybe we can do some stretches. Oh. Okay, so I don't know about you, Debbie, but I slouch a lot. Which can mess with the scapula, which messes with your neck, which messes with your head. So what we're going to do is kind of like tilt your head towards your shoulder. If you want, you can kind of lean your body and kind of get a stretch in here. And then look up. And look down. And look up. And neutral. Come back up. Do the other side. Oh. Slink over. And look up. Look down. And look up. And neutral. Come up. Shoulders both forward. Especially curving that upper back. Really isolating those back muscles and those shoulder muscles. What are you doing? What are you doing? This is all bullshit. I disapprove of this. Silence. Silence with you. And look at your man. Then look at me. Yeah. I kind of miss Isaiah. Such a handsome man. Wow. All right. And you guys are writers, so I can do some hand things and arm things, wrist things. Normally I would do them straight out this way, but I'll do them this way just to show you what's going on. But spread your hands as far as you can and make sure it's as much of a 90-degree angle as you can possibly get, and push out, and you can feel the tendons in your fingers. Stretch. I'm going to pop my hands a little bit. put your hands together and start to push down and keeping your palms together. So the idea is to stretch this as much as possible. And then you can stretch the inside of your wrist this way. And then you can kind of cram your fingers into the spaces in between and kind of pop things, stretch. And then you can kind of like work your way up the finger, because while we pop this quite a bit, sometimes we want to get these, sometimes we want to get these. Next is floreos. Oh boy, am I feeling that. So we're going to make a circle 8 with the leading with the pinky. Oh, there was my shoulder. If you lift your elbows when you're doing it, that is flamenco. But it is super good for your shoulders, super good for your hands. Scoop. Scoop. If your fingers start to follow the line, let them. I kind of like stretch this guy a little bit more by closing my fist and bending it forward. Sometimes I get a good pop out of the wrist. It sounds like my mom is up. Massage yourself a little bit. Give yourself a little love. Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen. What you doing?
I'm going to see about getting my oil changed and get some lunch.
Right on. I would say I would go with you, but I'm hardly dressed and I'm in the middle of a stream. Do you want me to go with you?
Up to you, because I'm going to hit my Dixie bones on the way back.
As long as you are okay with waiting for me to get dressed, I will go and get some lunch. I will catch you guys on the flip side. I hope you enjoyed some of these stretches.
Because I figured it would be, close to 11 by the time